All right, it looks like we are good to go and live everywhere we are intended to be live. That is always a good thing. We're going to go over to start out a person who is just recently reported missing in Valdosta. Her name is Charlene McKinney. And for anybody who has not already seen the post for that, we're going to do that first and make sure everybody is aware of it. Let's go ahead and share the screen for that. Now, Charlene McKinney was missing a few days before she was actually reported missing, which is always concerning for a few reasons. The time that is lost, of course, and then also whether or not there is a suspicious reason behind them being reported missing later than they actually disappeared. So let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. This is Charlene McKinney. Unfortunately, they've used a mugshot, I believe, for one of her pictures. So, that we don't ever like that. But that is what one of the photo on the right is. The photo on the left, I believe that may be a photo of what she was wearing when she disappeared. I'm not 100% sure, but it does look like that hoodie says Daytona Beach on it. They said it was a gray Daytona Beach hoodie, black pants, with like wider gray polka dots on them, small polka dots. I believe that is the outfit. But we'll get confirmation from somebody on that to see whether or not that is the case. We also shared a video earlier this week, kind of giving some information about the church where she was employed. So that way, there, if for any reason you cannot get a hold of the police department or someone else and you have information about her, you could also get a hold of the church. So let's go through here. So it says the Valdosta Police Department is asking for the public's help in locating a missing woman, Charlene McKinney, 39. She was reported missing on the evening of March 21st. She was reportedly last seen on the evening of March 21st. Officials report that family members last saw her walking in the Melody Lane area. She was officially reported missing on March 25th. So 4 days later, not good. McKinney is described as being 5'4", 180 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, and she was last seen wearing dark pants and a black wig. So while the mugshot photo, it stinks that is what's out there, it's also good to have the comparison, because if something happened to her, something bad happened to her, then it would be most likely that, something may have happened to her wig. She wouldn't have the longer hair, so she would be seen with shorter hair most likely. So that is helpful to kind of keep in mind if you happen to spot her or have information. Now, McKinney was possibly seen in the area of the 300 block of North Troop on March 24th. I did see somebody comment on Facebook about that, saying that she was in that area with her kids, I believe is what was said. However, they did say that she was in North Troop area on the 24th. That's not confirmed. That is somebody who has came forward and said, hey, I saw her over on North Troop on such and such day on March 24th. It's not confirmed. Nobody knows if that was her or not. So keep looking, keep turning in information. Her family says that she is known to frequent the area of 500 East Central Avenue and North Troop. So she does go to that area. If you do have information, you can call the Valdosta Department Bureau of Investigative Services, it says, 229-293-3145, or the crime tip line at 229-293-3091. Her photo is posted on our social media accounts. Her photo is also posted on the Valdosta Police Department's page on Facebook, and also the church has been sharing her information as well. So her name is out there in a few places. If you look up Charlene McKinney, then you should be able to find her. If you happen to be local and you see her or you know anything about her, please let somebody know, whether it's the church, whether it's police. Somebody needs to know if she's okay or not. So we are also going to take a look at another one as well. Let me pull this up really quick. We're going to quickly go over another missing persons case out of Valdosta, Georgia, that a lot of people in the Valdosta, Georgia actually do know about, but there are still people that see their flyer and say, oh my goodness, I had no idea. So we just want to make sure that everybody on our lives is aware of them as well. Hang on just a second. Let's get this up here. And we are still working on the resources that we have that we're putting out for everybody, but I believe that I am closer than ever before. Hopefully that means by next week we'll be able to show that to everyone and give you a look at what it is. You're going to be able to go basically to one database and be able to find all of Valdosta's missing persons cases, all of the unsolved crimes, in any type of resources that you need, whether it be local resources, understanding what certain resources are there for and how to utilize them, how to file a FOIA request. If you would like a piece of information from the court about a case, how to file that FOIA request. But there will also be information there about all of the local shelters, food banks, assistance programs, housing assistance, utility assistance, just a wide variety of things that people locally may need to have access to. Education programs, free programs, recreation, kid and youth programs, just you name it. A big variety of things are being put into this database. We hope everybody utilizes it because I think it'll be helpful. So if you're looking at the screen, the photo on the screen right now is of Paula and Brandon Wade, and they have been missing since 2002. And the story overall of their disappearance is highly perplexing. It has never been solved in any manner whatsoever. A suspect has never been named in the case. The case has a few people of interest. Of course, when you have a case like this where you don't have the information that you need, anybody close to that person remains a person of interest until you can hone on some real information to rule people in or out. So, for all of these years, there has been no suspect, but there are people of interest. Paula was Brandon's mother. They disappeared at the same time, it is believed. There is no indication on the exact time or day that they disappeared. They essentially disappeared the weekend of October 12th, 2002. They were reported to police as being missing in 2000, or yeah, sorry, in October the 14th, 2002. So on that Monday after the weekend, it was noticed that they were nowhere to be found. Paula did not show up for work on that Monday morning, and essentially all of these years later, their family is still looking for them. But one amazing thing that happened in the last year is that the FBI also joined the search for Paula and Brandon. So they are also a source that can take information. There are people who are hesitant to go to the Valdosta police with certain things. If you are, this is another option where if you have information and you are local, you can also go to the FBI. Or you can anonymously submit a tip through findpaulawade@gmail.com. Let's go over this article really quickly by the FBI. So The FBI Atlanta field office is who is handling this, and the Valdosta resident agency, along with Valdosta Police and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have been on the case since the beginning with the family. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is also another place where you can submit tips for Paula and Brandon. There are so many places you can go with information about them. I will say findpaulawade@gmail.com is a really, really good source to be able to turn information into, because the receiving end of that information is that whoever it is turning it over, and making sure that that information gets into the right hands and is followed up on. So I think that's always my preferred option, just because then we can make sure that that email address is manned 24/7, and then it can get over to the right hands and followed up on, which is highly important, especially, and that's not anything against Valdosta or the FBI or National Center. It is a lack of resources that makes certain things fall between the cracks. So we like to be able to follow up on things with any case that we may turn information in on. So the Wades were reported missing on October the 14th, 2002, when Paula didn't show up for work. At the time, Paula was 26 and Brandon was 3. Over the years, the Valdosta Police Department has worked the case but has never been able to find clues as to where the Wades could be or who, if anyone, may have wanted to harm them. The age progression pictures show that Brandon Wade looked like what he might have looked like at the age of 23 and his mother at the age of 45, which is these pictures down here, age progressed by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This is the first time that Paula Wade has ever had an age progressed photo. Brandon has had them throughout the years as he grew, so that the public could see what he might look like. However, that was her first one. And this picture on the right of Paula is actually also an age progressed photo done by the FBI. This one down here was done for the anniversary by the NCMEC, but this one up here was done by the FBI. Anyone with information about their disappearance is asked to please contact the FBI Atlanta field office at 770-216-3000, or you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. Again, I recommend the email address find Paula and Brandon, or find Paula Wade at gmail.com, because I will also say that the last time I turned in tips to the FBI, I was on hold for over 45 minutes. If you don't have the ability to wait, then make sure the information gets to someone. All right. And just so that everybody knows, that is on, if you type in missing persons FBI and you go to their database that they have, they will show up there as well. All right. Now, let's go over to WALB reported on a suspect that they are looking for out of Albany, Georgia. So I want to share that as well. So let's do that really quickly. And we've had a little uptick recently with the scanner, and I appreciate that. I just want to say that is highly appreciated, that people are noticing and people are reaching out and seeing that, we have good intentions. We just want to do everything we possibly can to help out with the cases in that area and with victims who need to know where to turn. So we appreciate, I've had a few people reach out over the last week or so, and we just want to let you all know that you're welcomed. Your comments are welcomed. And if you have any questions, that's, of course, welcome too. All right. So I don't believe that one was the right one. Let's go over to WALB. I apologize for taking a moment to pull this up. Here we go. I just found it. Let's put this guy's face up on the screen. Let's have a look at this. in case you happen to see him. So this is Jalen Gardner. He's 30, and the Albany Police Department is currently looking for him in connection to a strangulation case. He's reportedly wanted after strangling his child's mother during an argument. He is facing a charge of aggravated assault, strangulation. Um, they have labeled it as family violence. He is 6 foot tall, weighs about 162 pounds. If anybody knows where he is, if anybody has seen him or has information about where he might be, please call the Crime Stoppers line at 229-436 TIPS, TIPS, or the Albany Police Department at 229-431-2100. So let's make sure we get any information turned over about him that you might know about and help get him turned in, because people that do this only escalate if they are not dealt with appropriately. So it's important to make sure that he is handled through the justice system in an appropriate, civilized fashion so that no one else is hurt. Now, I'd also like to go to, we'll just do it right here on this page. There is, if we can find it really quickly here, we might not be able to. And if we can't, we'll pull it up on another page. Yeah. Valdosta has a new option for children, and I believe that it will probably be something that starts popping up in even more areas because of the youth violence and crime and different things that are happening lately. So let's pull this up really quick, and we're going to go ahead and play the video real fast. This is a new option for people in the Valdosta area. Oh, we didn't share it, did we? Ah, let's share that. I'm like half on the job, half off the job tonight. Get it together. We've had so much going on in Valdosta the last week. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but there's been craziness. Also, someone tagged the scanner and asked if I knew what was going on at the prison. I have had information about what's going on in the prison. Not anything that I can share at the moment. As soon as I can share that, I will. And I've also heard two different stories. I'm not sharing anything that I can't confirm. So once I find out, I will definitely let everybody know through the scanner. However, I also want to quickly bring up, before we bring up this hospital or this behavioral health option that's in Valdosta now, I want to also bring up, they have raided several prisons that were basically in a RICO type situation, multiple people working multiple states to get contraband inside of state prisons. Georgia got selected on the lucky bingo card as being some of them that they went into. Like 8 people, 2 facilities, I think, were visited. 8 people that were correction officers in the Georgia area were taken in and arrested, charged with crimes, a part of this RICO investigation. There were 150 in total employees or individuals, I'll say, that were arrested on the outside in connection with this RICO case that they were looking into that was getting contraband inside. And we're not talking about small contraband, 50 something or 60 something pounds of ecstasy, many pounds of, marijuana. There was pills. There was like 90 or 87 drones that they seized. I mean, it was a pretty big operation. Weapons, all kinds of things being taken into the prisons for illicit purposes, of course. I mean, why else would you be taking things into the prisons? Anyhow, so that also happened in the Georgia area recently as well. However, people were asking if that was a part of the situation in Lowndes, and I can tell you that was not. So at least we can share that much. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this video really quick, because we tell you about a lot of really horrifying stuff And even though we're going to tie this story into horrifying things, it is good news overall. So we need to share some good news every once in a while.
Well, in the state of Georgia, there's only one school psychologist for every 2,400 students. That's according to the National Association of School Psychologists. Now, in the face of a mental health care shortage for children's treatment, Greenleaf Behavioral Health Hospital in Valdosta recently opened a new pediatric unit, serving those between 5 and 11 years old.
So I think with being able to start at this age and really start working on a lot of those mental health issues at a young age, hopefully can prevent some of the downfall that they might experience as adults. So really trying to trigger that now and help them work through some of those issues, whether it be trauma or substance issues, things like that, maybe a mental health diagnosis, even at this early age as possible.
Well, the unit seeks to provide personalized care and support through individual therapy sessions, group activities, and family counseling. They plan to use these as a way to encourage children to navigate their emotions and build resilience. Greenleaf is already serving 14 children on the pediatric unit, and they're looking forward to expanding their outpatient services later this year.
Okay, so I wanted to mention that. Now,
Right now, this is new here on Extra. Chris Smelly, the former quarterback of South Carolina, Tuscaloosa native. You might be.
But there was a number somewhere around, one therapist per 2,400 kids or something like that. The numbers are really off when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to education. The numbers, resources are lacking all over the place, which is really weird because we're also having this epidemic of people being laid off because of the advancement of AI, of course, is going to leave a lot of people without jobs. So we have all these people who need jobs, yet we have so many lacking resources in other areas. So we're in a really weird time and culture in the way all of this is kind of shaking out right now. But resources within education and free resources to the community and to the public, of course, are always limited and based on, what can we afford as a community, as a county, as a state. And there's not a lot of resources overall. People have noticed an uptick in the Valdosta and Lowndes County area overall, really, South Georgia, that student behavior has been off, has escalated in a negative way. And so I'm sure that this is part of trying to address some of that. And it is a good thing. There's also been a lot of youth crime all over the country, not just in Valdosta, but of course, Valdosta, Albany. There are some areas in South Georgia that are getting extremely dangerous to be around. And a lot of it is crimes that are being committed by people who are under the age of 18. I think this resource is good. I think there's a lot of people in this area that have suffered from different issues that have come up culturally and in their community that they could use a resource like this, whether they're struggling from mental health or from, a situational or environmental issue. So that will be a resource to the Valdosta area. Again, that's for children 5 to 11. If your child seems to be exhibiting the need for such, it'd be a great resource to be able to utilize. So, and hopefully that helps with some of the ongoing things that are happening with the youth in the area. And do everything you can. If you have a kid, do everything you can to try and keep them away from a lot of the stuff that's going on in South Georgia, because it's only going to land your kid in a really worse spot. If they're going through something already, if it goes unchecked and then they do something like this, like some of these crimes that have been committed by juveniles recently, it's only going to spiral. You're only going to develop worse problems over time. Your child it's going to be hard to watch, hard to go through, a financial nightmare. So that's why we're putting this resource list together for Valdosta, where you're going to be able to see all of the unsolved crime in the area, all the missing persons, all of the resources available to you, everything free, everything paid, you name it. It's going to be there for you to take a look at. Okay, let's see. We have a new absconder. Imagine that. We have a new absconder in the Valdosta area. So let's bring him up as well, because he does not seem like a nice gentleman whatsoever. And we would like the community to be able to know about him, because he absconded quite quickly from what I remember that we looked into. Didn't take him long at all, actually. And first, let's bring up one other thing. Just one more thing real quickly before we move on to that. My dogs are going a little nuts here. What's up, guys? They don't like it when we talk about the sex offenders. The dogs get upset. Yeah, I know, guys. It's all right. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. Let's see. And there's people in the other room laughing. I don't know if they're laughing at me, but if they are, they'll get it after this. Guaranteed. Okay, let's go over here to this website. I'm going to share this with you really quickly. Again, we're going to talk about AJ Flukas really quickly before we jump on to David Sweeney, who is the new absconder on the block. I want to talk really quickly, though, about this, because this is something we've never talked about on the podcast before. We've never talked about it on the scanner, and I don't know why, because it is an egregious detail. Okay, again, this is AJ Flukas. If you've never joined us for any of our really wholesome, wonderful, genuine, transparent discussions about AJ Flukas, he is a sex offender. He's been wanted by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office since 2020. So we're rolling back to the beginning of the pandemic here. He has no pandemic related reasons for being missing or anything like that. He's not missing, by the way. We know where he is. We see him on a live stream every Sunday in 2 different places in the South Georgia area. So he's by no means unaccounted for as far as we can see. We can see where he's at. But the problem is, part of his conditions for release was that they have to know who he's living with, where he's living, and he's only allowed to live with children if it is approved. Well, that was part of his problem with this entire system. He wanted to live with his girlfriend. His girlfriend has children, and he just wanted to kind of skip out on this whole system that he was unfortunately forced to be part of because of his illicit actions. So let's go over this real quick. What I find egregious is, of course, his whole demeanor and behavior. But what I find egregious down here, we have AJ Flukas sits down with the Human Rights Watch, and he lists, while being wanted, he lists his reasons for not registering, which is actually why he's wanted. Okay, so you follow that whole circle. So yeah, he's wanted. He refuses to register. That's why he's wanted. And he sits down with the Human Rights Watch while he's wanted and tells them why he's not going to do any of this, why he's not. So he basically claims that he was set up to fail. People under supervision, lawyers, and even some judges and former supervision officers recognize that supervision often sets people up to fail. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. People must comply with an array of wide-ranging, sometimes vague and hard-to-follow rules, including requiring them to pay steep fines and fees, attend frequent meetings, abstain from drugs and alcohol, and report any time that they change housing or employment. That's what happens when you victimize children who are vulnerable and they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to turn. And that's why people victimize them. They're the most easy among the whole population to control. You're an adult. You can overpower them physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually. And that's why you have to be watched. But this dude doesn't get that. All he can see is that the system is preventing me from doing exactly what I want to do. So according to AJ in this article, he got a place, he got it all approved, and then later they came in and said, no, you can't live here. Well, actually, part of the problem was that he was trying to live there with people who have children who are not allowed to live with him unless they're approved. There was actually just a whole issue with the entire thing. Now, I'll admit, Lowndes County often doesn't get things right. Often they do make mistakes. However, overall, you put yourself in this system. You put yourself in this situation. You have to be monitored because you are a threat to the community. Now, one of the most egregious things is that he is at 2 churches every week around children. He is daily around 2 children who are not his. Those are big problems. Not just because he's a sex offender, but they explicitly said, you cannot be around minors on a daily basis living in your home unless they've been approved, and we know you're living with them. He didn't care about any of that, though. So he's been wanted since 2020. We've turned him in. Nothing's happened. He's still out there doing his thing. Still going to both churches, still around youth in the community every week, still going to school events every week, still around minors he's not supposed to be around, still around children every day in his home that he's not approved to be around. Not good at all. Not sure if the Department of Child Services or the county sheriffs in either of 3 of these counties want to actually do something about this, but he is making them look like a fool out here by sitting down with the Human Rights Watch while he's wanted, complaining, saying these are the reasons I'm not going to register. That's messed up. We have this whole article. It's out here. If you look up his name on Twitter or Facebook, you can find him. You can find this article, but essentially it's just him saying that the system is making him homeless and making him have all of these issues financially. Well, this is why you don't put yourself in a situation of being in the system, because it's not fun. And I'm sure it is taxing to have to do all of these things, but you made yourself a risk. So this is pretty much what we have to do now. Okay. Let's go to David Sweeney. And David Sweeney is the newest absconder in the Valdosta area. We'll go over to the Lowndes County Sex Offender Registry here. And I'm sorry if I've bumped my mic again. I'm just throwing this mic around like I'm being violent tonight. I'm not yet. All right, let's find this guy's ugly mug, because he is definitely one that I believe you will want to be on the lookout for. And I think he really absconded in record time, if I remember right. Usually they take some time. This guy took no time at all. He's like, let's just get this out of the way and go ahead and abscond right away. All right. If I can get, do we know what page he's on exactly? If we don't know what page he's on, that's okay. I just want to make sure I get his picture up here for everybody. And we can do that here too. Sorry for the hold up, everyone. Want to make sure we get his photo out there for you. Here we go. We'll share the screen. Again, I appreciate everybody who's joining us. We have a few people in here tonight, so thank you for listening to us ramble on about all these horrific things. All right, so this is David Sweeney, and I'm not going to say anything that rhymes that's childlike and egregious. So this is David Sweeney. Keep an eye out for this guy, because let's see here. He's 43 years old, 5'10", 210 pounds roughly. He has brown, short, or buzzed hair, blue eyes. He goes by David Sweeney, David J. Sweeney, and he is currently wanted for failing to register. Now, his charges, historically unrelated to this warrant, is 2 counts of corruption of minors. We have child, we'll say assault, 2 counts of criminal attempt to commit a felony, sexual battery against a child under 16, aggravated sodomy of a child under 10, 2 counts of child molestation under 16, of a child under 16, 2 counts of cruelty to children, 2 counts of probation violation, probation violation, probation violation, probation violation, again and again and again. These charges start in 2002 and they go all the way up until recently to 2024. And it looks like we're adding more charges even here as we speak. Oh, he's actually 6'7" and 160 to 180 pounds. Okay, his weight must fluctuate depending on how many bonbons he eats. All right, contact 911 or the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office 229-671-2900 if you happen to have information about this guy. You can also submit a tip anonymously online at the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office. It's just loundessheriff.com. They have an anonymous tip form. You can actually, well, let me show you. If you go back to the main page where you see the whole list, you can go here to provide a tip. And that takes you right here to this tip submission form. So make sure that you turn in any information that you may have about him. It appears that he had a do we have any information right offhand of how quickly he absconded? Is this the one that I'm thinking of? Okay, so we have a little brief here. Let's go over that. 43-year-old David Joseph Sweeney is wanted by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office in Georgia for failing to register as a sex offender. The Georgia Sex Offender Registry classifies him as a sexually dangerous predator, which is the highest risk level assigned and is given to offenders who present the greatest risk of reoffending by engaging in another dangerous sexual offense. Oh, almost like they should have kept him behind bars, huh? I'll move on. David Sweeney has been unaccounted for and presents a danger to the community, especially children. He got out of Ware County Prison on March 3rd, 2024. There we go. That's the information I wanted. March 3rd. It's not even April 1st. And he's absconded. Why do we call it absconded? Say he's wanted. Say he's a fugitive. That's what he is. If you're unaccounted for as a sex offender, you are a fugitive. Doop, 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 doop. Oh, my. Okay, let's get back on track. So he got out of the Ware County Prison March 3rd. Nope. I don't even know how you get back on track from there. He got out on March 3rd. It's March 30th. He's absconded. And he's been listed as an absconder for like the last week. So it's actually even shorter time frame than to the 30th. Okay. Sweeney is a 6 foot tall, 7 inches, or 6 foot, 7 inches tall, approximately 160 to 180 pounds. Has brown hair. We've already went over that. He has multiple tattoos on both arms, his chest and back. Has 2 teardrop tattoos on his face. He has a connection to Lowndes County, Georgia. You know how we feel about those teardrop tattoos, guys. He has a connections to Lowndes County, Georgia, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. David Sweeney could be in the Miami, Florida area. And he definitely has some deep connections in the Miami area. Definitely be on the lookout for this guy in Florida as well. And I believe there may have, did we just say that or not? But yeah, there was an Eastern connection as well. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida. all options for where you could spot this guy. He was in prison multiple times. If you see him or if you have any information about his whereabouts, please call the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office at 229-671-2900. Again, you can also submit a tip online anonymously if you would like to through the Sheriff's Department. What a disgusting piece of trash. It's just absolutely wild. He really made record time with absconding. All right, let's go over. Let's see. We've covered quite a few things that we wanted to cover. That's not all though. That's not all the fun we have tonight. There was something else. What was it? Oh, I'm not sure if everybody knows about that daycare in Albany. I bet everybody locally has probably heard about that daycare. So I'm not going to go over the whole story, but basically a daycare in Albany has been shut down after they had a bad incident happen there. Now, I just want to say, if you are in the area and that, you have a child that is needing daycare services because of this disruption in some way, please be careful who you reach out to. There are a lot of people around the Valdosta area who just do random babysitting. There are many options out there. If you go search Facebook, you're probably going to find them. If you look in the groups, you're probably going to find them there too. Please make sure that you vet these people. You can go, you don't even have to pay for a subscription service. You can look people up online. If you need help looking into somebody that you're looking into for a daycare provider, please reach out to us. Let us know. We'll help you take a look at that person and figure out whether or not they are perhaps a safe option to have your child around. Very important decisions. There are horrifying things happening when you're leaving your children places these days. So you have to make sure that you are leaving them with somebody who does not have some type of illicit interest in your child, whether it be neglect just to get the money for taking care of them, or whether it be that they, perhaps have a little bit of something else in mind. Do not put your child in that situation. It's very difficult to find affordable daycare. It's very difficult to find jobs that pay well. So we understand how bad of a situation this can be for somebody who has to go to work. You have to be able to put food on the table. You have to be able to do the things you need to do and pay the bills, which means your kid can't be left alone. They have to be with someone who's going to take care of them. These are just things that have to happen. So we want to make sure that if you need help looking into somebody, let us know. We can either give you the sites to look into them yourself. We can help you with it. Whatever you need, just reach out through the scanner. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can also reach out to us at at TitletownScanner@gmail.com. So I just wanted to mention that as well. We're going to get to the resources and sharing that resource hub for Lowndes County with everybody. I'm really excited to share that. We're also going to get to the adoption stories. The adoptions that have been disguised, they're really trafficking that has been disguised as adoptions in the area. And some of they're really horrific stories, but I feel like they are so educational as well. So we're going to try to stick to the educational side of these stories, not the gore, not the just really gritty, hard to look at details. You'll of course hear about some of that too, but we're going to try to stick to what we think people can learn in the area as a community by going through some of these stories and things that have been happening in the South Georgia area. Valdosta too, but South Georgia overall has been a target of trafficking and crimes against children. And the problem is that there are many sex-related crimes against women and children in the South Georgia area that almost seem to intentionally be overlooked. And so we want to make sure that we put a spotlight on these things so that maybe law enforcement in those areas will know that we're serious about victims receiving justice and feeling safe in their community. All right, I think that's all we have tonight. We'll go over more next week. We'll try to get more videos out through the week this week. And we appreciate everybody joining us. So come back and see us next Saturday, 8 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern is when we do this every Saturday night. And I appreciate everybody helping us to get some focus on the vulnerable people and people who have been victims in the area in Valdosta, and forging a path to have less victims. How about that? Let's get AJ Flukas and let's get Sweeney back in custody. That would help with that goal. All right. Have a great evening.